Can power ever truly be ethical, or is manipulation an inherent part of influence? It's a question that echoes through the corridors of history, whispered in the halls of power, and wrestled with in the quiet chambers of our own hearts. We often see power as a dirty game, a realm of shadows and deceit, where the only way to get ahead is to bend the rules, to manipulate others for our own gain. But what if there was another way? What if true power wasn't about domination, but about self-mastery? Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher both revered and reviled, challenges us to redefine our understanding of power. He wasn't interested in the petty games of control and coercion. His vision of power was far more profound: the will to power, the relentless drive to overcome ourselves, to create our own values, to become who we are truly meant to be. But Nietzsche also warned of a great danger: the insidious trap of slave morality. This is the mentality of the victim, the resentful, those who feel powerless and seek to tear down those who are strong. Instead of striving for self-improvement, they resort to manipulation, disguising their weakness as virtue, their envy as righteous indignation. How often do we see this play out in our own lives, in the workplace, in our relationships, in the grand theater of politics? The subtle digs, the passive-aggressive comments, the smear campaigns, all fueled by a hidden resentment, a desire to diminish others to make ourselves feel better. But there is an alternative, a path less traveled, a more difficult but ultimately more rewarding path, the path of unassailable integrity. What does it mean to have unassailable integrity? It means aligning your actions with your values, even when it's difficult, even when it's unpopular. It means being honest with yourself and with others, even when the truth hurts. It means taking responsibility for your own life, your own choices, your own power. Integrity is not a weakness. It is the ultimate form of power. It attracts genuine respect, lasting influence, and a deep sense of inner peace. It is the foundation upon which we can build a life of purpose and meaning. Nietzsche spoke of the Barmensch, the overman, a being who transcends conventional morality to create their own values based on self-mastery and integrity. This is not about becoming a ruthless egoist, but about cultivating the strength and wisdom to live authentically, to embrace our full potential, to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. This video is about building the ethical foundations for that self-mastery. It's about learning to wield power with integrity, to resist the temptation of manipulation, to forge an unshakable inner strength that no one can take away from you. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you ready to discover the true source of your power? The will to power. The very phrase conjures images of ruthless ambition, of trampling over others to reach the top. But this is a gross misrepresentation of Nietzsche's profound concept. The will to power is not simply about dominance or aggression. It is the fundamental drive within all living things, the striving for self-preservation, growth, and the realization of one's unique potential. It is the force that compels a seed to break through the soil, a bird to take flight, a human being to create, to love, to overcome. But how do we distinguish between ethical power and predatory power? How do we ensure that our will to power is channeled towards good, towards empowering others, rather than exploiting them? The key lies in self-awareness and ethical discernment. We must constantly examine our motives, question our intentions, and be willing to confront our own shadows. Are we seeking to uplift or to diminish? Are we acting out of love or out of fear? One of the greatest obstacles to ethical power is resentment. This corrosive emotion festers in the hearts of those who feel powerless, who believe that life has dealt them an unfair hand. Resentment fuels manipulative behaviors, undermining genuine power and poisoning relationships. How can we break free from this cycle of negativity? First, we must identify and acknowledge our resentment. What are we truly angry about? What unmet needs are driving our bitterness? Then, we must take responsibility for our own lives, focusing on what we can control rather than dwelling on what we cannot. Cultivating self-discipline is also a essential for channeling the will to power towards ethical goals. Self-discipline is not about suppressing our desires, but about mastering them. It is about making conscious choices, aligning our actions with our values, and resisting impulsive behaviors that could harm ourselves or others. Practice mindfulness, learn to pause before reacting, and cultivate the ability to delay gratification. Nietzsche famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." But this is not a call to seek out suffering for its own sake. Rather, it is a recognition that overcoming adversity with integrity forges unshakable character and resilience. When we face challenges with courage, honesty, and compassion, we emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of wielding our power for good. What adversities have you faced that have made you stronger? How can you use those experiences to empower others? Imagine this. You are condemned to live your life exactly as it is, over and over again, for eternity. Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every failure, playing out on an endless loop. Would you be satisfied with your choices? Would you embrace this eternal repetition with open arms, or would you recoil in horror? This is Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, a thought experiment designed to be a moral compass, guiding us towards a life of unassailable integrity. This thought experiment is not for the faint of heart. It forces us to confront our shadow self, the parts of ourselves we try to hide or deny, the petty resentments, the selfish impulses, the moments of dishonesty, all laid bare, exposed to the harsh light of eternity. It's uncomfortable, even terrifying, to truly face these aspects of ourselves, but it is only by acknowledging our shadows that we can begin to integrate them, to transform them into sources of strength and wisdom. The ethical implications of the eternal recurrence are profound. It compels us to consider the long-term consequences of our actions, to live in a way that aligns with our deepest values. If we knew we would have to relive every moment, wouldn't we strive to be more kind, more honest, more compassionate? Wouldn't we resist the temptation to manipulate, to exploit, to take the easy way out? Let's put this into practice. Take a moment to reflect on a specific area of your life, your career, your relationships, your health. Imagine living this aspect of your life exactly as it is for eternity. Are you satisfied? Are there changes you need to make to live with greater integrity? Grab a journal and write down your thoughts. What are you tolerating that you shouldn't be? What actions are you taking that you know are not aligned with your values? What small steps can you take today to begin living a life that you would be proud to repeat for eternity? The eternal recurrence is like a mirror reflecting our true selves, forcing honesty and accountability. It is a powerful tool for self-discovery and ethical growth. By embracing this thought experiment, we can cultivate a deeper sense of integrity, transforming our lives into works of art that we are proud to live again and again for all eternity. What kind of life do you want to reflect back at you? Imagine a fire raging through your life, consuming everything you hold dear, your dreams, your hopes, your relationships, all reduced to ashes. What would you do? Would you succumb to despair, wallowing in self-pity and resentment? Or would you find the strength to rise from the ashes, transformed, renewed, and more powerful than ever before? This is the essence of asterisk amor fati, asterisk the love of fate. Asterisk amor fati, asterisk is not a passive acceptance of whatever life throws your way. It is a radical embrace of everything that has happened and will happen in your life, including the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is a recognition that every experience, no matter how painful, contains the potential for growth and transformation. It is about finding meaning in adversity, about turning suffering into fuel for self-improvement and ethical growth. How can asterisk amor fati, asterisk transform suffering? By shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing hardship as a personal attack, we can see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop resilience. When we face challenges with courage and acceptance, we discover hidden strengths within ourselves, strengths we never knew we possessed. Asterisk amor fati, also helps us resist the victimhood mentality. It empowers us to take responsibility for our lives, even in the face of difficult circumstances. We may not be able to control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. We can choose to be bitter and resentful, or we can choose to learn and grow. So how can we practice amor fati in our daily lives? Start by reframing negative experiences. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. Practice gratitude, appreciating the good things in your life, even amidst challenges. And remember, every setback is an opportunity for a comeback. Think of the phoenix, a mythical bird that bursts into flames only to rise again from the ashes, more beautiful and powerful than before. Amor fati is the fire that consumes the old, allowing the new to emerge. It is the alchemy that transforms suffering into strength, weakness into wisdom, and adversity into ethical power. How can you embrace your fate today? What ashes can you rise from? Imagine a world where values are not inherent but created, where morality is not a fixed set of rules but a reflection of power dynamics. This is the world Nietzsche unveils with his concept of master-slave morality. The master morality, born of strength and self-affirmation, values pride, nobility, and the pursuit of excellence. The slave morality, born of resentment and weakness, values humility, compassion, and equality. But Nietzsche wasn't simply describing historical social structures. He was pointing to an internal struggle within each of us. The slave morality, fueled by resentment towards those who seem stronger or more privileged, can manifest as a subtle but insidious force in our own lives. How often do we see this play out in modern society? In political ideologies that demonize success, in social justice movements that prioritize victimhood, in personal relationships where resentment festers beneath a veneer of niceness. How can we break free from the shackles of slave morality and forge our own ethical code? First, we must recognize the resentment within ourselves. What are we truly envious of? What perceived injustices are fueling our bitterness? Then, we must reject the victim mentality and embrace self-responsibility. No one is coming to save us. We must take ownership of our own lives, our own choices, our own power. Next, we must create our own values based on self-mastery and integrity. This is not about blindly following societal norms, but about critically examining our beliefs and choosing principles that align with our deepest aspirations. What kind of person do you want to be? What values do you want to embody? Write them down, reflect on them, and let them guide your actions. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of Auschwitz. Stripped of everything, he chose to find meaning in his suffering, to focus on what he could control, his attitude, his thoughts, his actions. He developed his own ethical code based on love, purpose, and the will to meaning, and he emerged from the ashes of the Holocaust a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate human being, inspiring millions with his message of hope and resilience. Frankl rejected resentment and forged his own ethical code, achieving unassailable integrity and lasting influence. What resentment are you holding on to? How can you break free from the slave morality and forge your own path, guided by your own values, your own strength, your own unshakable integrity? The barmensch, the overman, the very word conjures images of a superhuman, a ruthless individual who towers above the rest of humanity, unbound by conventional morality. But this is a dangerous misinterpretation of Nietzsche's profound concept. The Bermensch is not a destination, but a direction, not a finished product, but a constant process of self-overcoming. The Bermensch is not about being superior to others, but about being superior to your former self. It is about constantly striving to become more ethical, more creative, more compassionate, more fully human. It is about embracing your full potential and using your power for good. Nietzsche spoke of going beyond good and evil, but this was not a rejection of all call morality. Rather, it was a call to transcend conventional morality, to question the values that have been imposed upon us by society, and to create our own values based on self-mastery and integrity. It is about developing a personal ethical code that is grounded in our own experiences, our own insights, our own conscience. Self-creation is at the heart of becoming an Mensch. It is about taking ownership of our lives, about actively shaping our character and destiny. It is about refusing to be defined by our past, our circumstances, or the expectations of others. It is about becoming the author of our own story. But with great power comes great responsibility. The Mensch has a duty to use their power for good, to inspire others to strive for self-overcoming. This is not about imposing our values on others, but about leading by example, about demonstrating the transformative power of integrity and self-mastery. Nietzsche famously said, "Man is something that shall be overcome." This is not a statement of contempt for humanity, but a call to action. It is a recognition that we are all works in progress, that we all have the potential to become something more, something greater, something more fully ourselves. Self-overcoming is a lifelong process that requires constant self-reflection and ethical discernment. The Mensch is not a mythical figure, but an ethical ideal. It is a symbol of what we can become if we dare to embrace our full potential, to transcend conventional morality, and to use our power for good. Are you ready to begin your journey towards becoming an Mensch? Are you ready to overcome yourself? We've journeyed through the challenging landscape of Nietzschean thought, exploring the depths of the will to power, the shadows of resentment, and the heights of self-overcoming. We've grappled with the complexities of master-slave morality, the moral compass of the eternal recurrence, and the transformative power of amor fati. We've dared to glimpse the ideal of the Mensch, not as a figure of ruthless domination, but as a symbol of ethical responsibility and authentic power. Now, the path lies before you, the path to unassailable integrity, a life of meaning, purpose, and genuine influence. But this path is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a relentless commitment to self-mastery. It demands that you confront your shadows, question your motives, and choose integrity over manipulation. Time and time again, I challenge you to apply these Nietzschean strategies in your own life, to embrace the will to power as a force for self-improvement and ethical action, to reject resentment and forge your own values based on your own conscience, to live each day as if it were to be repeated for eternity, striving to become the best version of yourself. But be warned, the allure of manipulation is strong. The temptation to take the easy way out, to exploit others for your own gain, will always be present. This is why self-awareness and ethical discernment are so crucial. Constantly examine your motives, question your intentions, and be willing to confront your own darkness. Remember, true power comes not from dominating others, but from mastering yourself. There is a possibility of living a life of meaning, purpose, and unassailable integrity. A life where your actions are aligned with your values, where your influence is a force for good, where your legacy is one of inspiration and empowerment. This is the promise of Nietzsche's philosophy, a promise that is within reach for all who dare to embrace the challenge. Think of Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a whole and integrated self. Ethical power is not a separate pursuit, but a byproduct of this journey. As you strive for self-mastery, as you integrate your shadow, as you embrace your full potential, you will naturally radiate an authentic power that attracts respect, inspires trust, and leaves a lasting impact on the world. What will you choose? Will you succumb to the dark allure of manipulation, or will you embrace the challenge of unassailable integrity? The answer lies within you. The path is clear. The journey begins now. What is the first step you will take towards forging your own authentic power?